Go.
Oh, look at that timing.
Oh, did I get it?
Yeah, they saw you just go, go.
It's Thursday night. You know what that means. The Comics Pals are live for Pals Pulls. Yes, indeed. Say hello if you're in the chat. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We found our child. Marco has returned.
Oh.
Yeah.
Prodigal
Marco
son
has returned, and Marco is living in a world of fear because there is if you look at my Instagram story, there's those millipede things just circling above me.
Why didn't you kill it? Why didn't you kill it or try to capture it?
My ceilings are like 10 feet tall. You can't reach that shit.
Oh, look at this guy. He's bragging about his tall ceiling apartment. Oh, look at me. I'm Marco.
I got these big, full bottom to top windows. What are you gonna do?
Marco loves a full bottom, that's for sure.
We lost our grumpy grandpa. Kale is not here, but Tyler's here.
Is that a good Kale impression? That was.
That's You're in the ballpark.
It was Tyler.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Okay. All right.
I'm here too, Sean.
Oh, hey,
Sean. Your typical host. Thank you. Hello, Jack Araya. Welcome to the chat. So we've got 4 books to talk about today, as ever. We're talking about the return of Fables with Fables 151.
Get it?
Big return. So that's pretty cool. Dive into that. Immortal X-Men number 2. That's one I can't wait to talk about. Savage Avengers number 1. Do not flame me for this cover. I did not want this.
Oh, you're telling me you wouldn't have picked is that JR?
Do you have to ask?
I mean, I'm looking at the small screen, so yeah, I have to.
Yes, it is. Of course it is. I have regrets. I was trying to get it done quick, and it just had a lot of that cover, and then a lot of other ones that were crappy too, I thought. So whatever, that's what I ended up with.
I mean, at least you got JR. He's the one who created Anti-Venom. He was the first one to draw Anti-Venom, I believe. So
is that supposed to be a selling point, or?
Sure. Yeah.
But Sean, you love JR, so I don't understand what the issue is.
He is a talent. Artist. He's a legend. And also a legend is Spawn. We're reviewing King Spawn number 10.
Oh boy, I got thoughts about that one.
I do too, and I can't wait to share them with you. And I got comics tagged last week, so I also had to read Shaolin Country, or Cowboy rather, number 1. So I will be sharing my thoughts about that in the comics tag section. Yeah. Before we get into all that, I do want to let you guys know how you can support the show. Patreon.com/thecomicspals if you want to support us directly. There are multiple tiers in our Patreon. For as little as $3, you can help us live our dream. This week I put out my newsletter. We'll talk about that more on the main show this Saturday. But needless to say, if you're a patron, thank you so much. If you're considering joining us on Patreon, thank you so much. Even if you don't subscribe, we appreciate you. We love our fans, our listeners. If you want to join us live for this podcast, twitch.tv/thecomicspals every single Thursday at 6 p.m., Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. for the main show. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's been a massive week, including the announcement of, not the announcement, but the rumor, the big time rumor of the return of Daredevil to Disney Plus. So
give
crazy
me some
stuff
of that Catholic guilt, please. I need it.
That specifically.
Yo, indeed. I love it. I thrive on it. It's so good.
Wow. Bring back Elektra. YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.com.
Yeah, I agree.
YouTube.com/thecomicspals. Subscribe to our channel for free. Like the video, share it with your friends. All that stuff's free to do. Helps out a lot more than it costs you. And join our Discord server. Come join our Discord server. We're always looking for fresh blood to hang out with us. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about Fables. So first question. Have any of you read Fables before?
Not all of it, but I've read the first deluxe and I guess the third volume.
Tyler?
I'm kind of in the same boat. So I used to work at a Barnes and Noble, and I was this is back when the Nook was a big thing. You remember the Nook? It was like
Yes.
their competitor to the Kindle.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
And that was kind of like the specialist for my store, and I would always push comic books onto people through the Nook as like a selling point, which actually worked, honestly. But I would read Fables on there while customers weren't around. So I got, I think, through the first two deluxe ones. But
Oh,
we're
cool.
talking about 12 years ago, so like it ain't fully up there anymore. I've
Sure,
read the
sure.
first trade of Fables at least 3 times though, so like that first trade I'm pretty confident on. Yeah, but no, I
All
haven't
right.
finished it.
Well, I have never read Fables before, not a lick of it. So this is
Sorry
my
about this then.
first this is my first shot. So Bill Willingham is the writer. Mark Buckingham did the art here. Steve Leoa did the inks. Lee Lowridge on colors. Todd Klein on letters. Pretty pretty good creative team. Um, you know what? I like this.
Okay. I was wondering where you might sit on it out the outset, just because there's a lot, probably context, that even I wasn't sure about. And yeah, so I was curious how you were gonna feel like just jumping into this.
I'm never mad about like, not knowing what's going on if it's my own fault. Like I could have read all 150 issues in preparation for this. I wasn't going to do that. But I didn't. So for those people who have read it all and are up to speed, that's awesome. And I'm sure that this was a seamless experience. I think that this issue, though, did a really good job of giving you enough. And if you're a smart reader, if you're, not smart, but if you've been doing this for a while, you can pick up through syntax kind of what you need to know to get along. And that's where I found myself. The book does a good enough job of setting things up. I know who the major players are. I get it. I don't know everything. I don't know all the dynamics, but I was able to follow along, and I was really appreciative of that. And it helps when the art's so good. You want to turn the page. You want to keep reading.
Yeah, Buckingham's real good at just rendering. The thing that caught me off guard that I don't remember if it happened was those like side panelings, the designs. I think they really helped to. It made it feel a bit cluttered, but at the same time, I think it also just accentuated something a bit different, especially depending on the environment that people were in. It
Yeah.
helps to sort of ground you in the world as well, just beyond you landing in a space. You can also feel like, oh, there's this one transition from the forest environment with Jack and the Green being the bear, and then going into like the city. It there's a caption is back in the distant world, but you also can feel it because the surrounding spaces are also just different. There's rubble, there's dirt versus the green and leaves of the forest that we were just in. So I think there was effective use.
I So Matt brings it up in the chat here. A famous Breitbart contributor, Bill Willingham.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the crux of the story that really jumped out to me was the Jack and the Green. Is that what
Yeah.
Jack of the Green or whatever? And this female character replacing him. And I'm smelling something going on here with Bill Willingham and this theme going on.
What do you mean?
I think this is Willingham's take on the idea of female characters replacing male characters in comic books. I think Willingham was kind of berated back in, I think, 2015 or so. He had a panel at a convention called Women in Comics with 0 panelists that were women. And I think like the Mary Sue, which I don't know if it's as prominent as a news source anymore, but that at the time was pretty big. Called him out on it, and he went through like a whole like SJW sort of tirade from what I remember. So this theme showing up in this issue, I was like, okay, curious to see how this goes. Which I couldn't not take the outside of the comics part of it out of what I was reading. I was a little lost. I know the general crux of what happened in like I think it was like the Dark Ages, like Geppetto and all that shit. Like I'm relatively familiar with it. I read a wiki at one point. But it does look good. I do like the little side what do you call those things? The side panels that were like embellishments to make it feel like a kind of a classic fairy tale storybook.
Yeah.
The Buckingham is just great at what he does. So I was kind of mixed on it though. Like I liked it, but it also felt like a direct continuation of Fables, which I'm sure if that's probably what most people wanted, honestly. But I was looking forward to like a nice jumping on point, and it really wasn't that. But that's my baggage coming into it. I think the craft is definitely there.
I'm in the same place there because I wanted to continue like the series. I remember thoroughly enjoying it and having a really good time reading it, and now that I sort of know where this endpoint is, that kind of it took the wind a bit out of my sails because I'm like, oh, they end up here, and now I kind of just have that sitting in the back of my head that at some point through some machination of different characters they're going to arrive in the quote unquote real world with the Mundis, and so that was I think a bit spoilery for me, which fair enough because this is going to be a continuation, but the I think beyond that it grounds you insofar as it can, but I had trouble remembering certain characters beyond like Bigsby Wolf and Jack in the Green, and I forgot her name because she gives her actual name, but yeah, otherwise I don't know that even the end sort of hooked me as a cliffhanger. I don't know that I would pick up the next issue because it just feels like I missed a lot, and having read some of it I'm like I don't know, I kind of want to see this now sequentially.
Yeah, I think obviously this is meant to be read after 150, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to review this because it's a big book, it's a big return and all that. So like I'm not comfortable judging the book based on what I don't know. That's not their problem. Especially because I get the impression that this wouldn't have come back if they couldn't just dive into whatever they were doing before. That there was never going to be, oh, we're going back to a number one, or, some orientation process for new readers. I really respect that. In an industry where a number like 151 is so rare, the only time you see it is from Marvel when they're trying to, legacy numbers.
It's in little text though. You can't. It's not. They're not going to tell you it's that. It's
right.
It's hidden there. Yeah.
I really respect the fact that they brought this back with 151, and it's just what it was. And hey, Fable had enough fans and enough people jumped on after it ended that I think this can work. And I had a good time. So I'm really glad for this. I don't really know how to talk about what happens because I don't have context from the past, but clearly something really bad just happened. And all the Fables is like, for those of you who don't know, I'm just speaking about what I know about it. You guys correct me wherever I'm wrong. It's a world where all the fables of our history are actually real. They're all real characters and all that stuff. And, something really bad just happened and all of them said, hey, we're out of here. They dipped off to other worlds and things like that. So yeah, that seems like what happened. And this book catches us up with some of those characters who have moved on, like Bigby and his family. Geppetto's here, which is really random and cool. This is like if you've never read Fables before, like me, this makes me want to go back. No praise I've ever heard for this book made me want to go read it more than just simply reading this comic book.
Wow. Okay.
I actually agree. Like if this, I don't think I'm going to read 152 yet. I think what this did was it made me remember like, fuck, I really need to get to Fables again. Like it was more of a selling point to catch up.
Yep.
really.
Very
And I
much
know,
so.
I think Jack Rye is in the chat. He has the DC Universe app. I would assume this is on there, right?
No, is it?
It'd be Vertigo at that point, so I would assume the Vertigo books are on there.
Let me check actually. 'Cause
I'd
if
be
so,
surprised if they
Yeah.
weren't.
It's also weird not seeing the Vertigo label on this though. Fables is like
A
one of
little
those
bit. Famous
modern Vertigo books I associate so much with that branding.
Oh, you're right, Tyler. It is. I don't have to pay for these. Yes.
Dang. All right, I can share you my my Marvel Unlimited. You give me your DC
Yeah,
Universe.
we'll
We're
swap,
good.
we'll
We're
swap.
good. There we go.
I say pull. If you, the only reason you don't pull this is if it's really important to you to understand everything, and that's valid. Like that is completely valid. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to start at 151. But I've rarely read a book that has the same creative team and is telling the exact same story in sequence as if it never took a break, that is as accessible as this. Compare this to Saga, because Saga just did the same thing. I don't know if I feel Saga is as accessible if you've not been reading The Return. I don't know.
I'd say Saga's probably a little more accessible if I'm gonna put my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, I would. I think I'd agree in that. I feel like it didn't pick because it didn't pick up literally immediately like what feels like seconds after something. I think that's a little bit of an easier sell for somebody coming in, whereas this is, if you have the interest, absolutely pull and dive in. But I think there's going to be a bit more work to be done. You still get the syntax and you still get that context, but I think the work there is a bit more than if you were to do Saga, where Saga felt very much like clean slate, new characters, even new styles for some of our major players. That would make things feel a bit more, I guess, different.
For me, I wouldn't say pull this issue. I would say pull Fables though. Like check out Fables. Like that's how I would recommend this. For me, a little hard to really gain my bearing with it personally.
If you're interested, I think it's quality. Pick it up, and if you've been reading and want to continue, this is absolutely the thing you need to pick up.
Yeah.
It's weird that the only person who's never read Fables before is highest on it. That is so odd.
Does this make you want to read Fables though? Like are you gonna actively look into it?
I don't have like I'm not gonna go buy 150 issues of the book.
Oh,
So
they're
that's
an
not
omnibus
gonna
though.
happen.
They do have omnibuy.
That's not gonna happen either. I gotta get there are several I gotta get before Fables. So
Oh, and you're not a digital reader. Damn.
yeah.
I was gonna ask, because I listened back to the episode that you guys did for the show Saturday on long form comics, and then also just like on the difference between the short form and the minis and that. Where does this fall for you? Because I was thinking about it before I read it. I'm like, if this is a story in the world of but continuing the legacy numbering, would that feel like a continuation and an actual continuation to a long-term run, or would that feel like at that point we're doing a mini within legacy numbering?
That would feel like a cop out to me because they have done minis already. Like they've done other stories before.
Stories in the
Give me
side.
one sec,
Okay.
guys. My cat is just tearing up a chair for some reason. So
There was I remember a Bigby book not too long ago that had come out.
There's a game, Telltale. The Bigsby Telltale stuff. This is coming from that.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Immortal X-Men. Oh, I didn't even answer your question. Yeah, I agree with Tyler. I think that you're either going to do it or you're not, and I don't think that fans of Fables would necessarily want that. I think it's too much of a tease at that point. But let's talk about Immortal X-Men. This is issue 2. Issue 1 left us in a crazy place, so this one has to deal with some things. And it doesn't get to all of those, but in any event, Kieran Gillen's the writer here, Lucas Wernick on art, David Curiel did the colors, Clayton Cowles did the letters. yo, Celine, right?
Badass.
Come on. She didn't get what she wanted. So she said, okay, I'm going to unleash a nightmare creature on Krakoa. And when you guys realize that the only way to stop this is to holler at me, I'll be waiting.
Yep.
And then Hope was like, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope.
um,
By the way, I'm out the gate. By the way, yes, Matt, thank you. Big B versus Batman. Thank you. Hope is a character that a lot of people do not like. I am
I
not
don't
one of
get
those
that.
people.
I don't get that. I love Hope, man.
Hope is phenomenal. I have loved Hope ever since Messiah Complex, before she was even in the book, just because of how important she was built up to be. And while I can't say that she's necessarily lived up to the promise of the character, I don't think I don't think that can be held against the character. That's comics. But as far as what she gets to do and her role, I love this character. And this is one of the best issues. This is one of the best Hope issues that the character has ever had.
It also is like a great summation of all the different things that Hope is. Mm-hmm. She's this messiah that people look at her and she's like, I'm not supposed to be that. I don't feel that way, you know? And she's also like Cable's daughter.
Right.
Which she really shows in this. She's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to steal Magic's teleportation power and just land a 360 no scope, you know?
That was sick. Oh, yeah, by the way,
it was so good.
Marco, she's not literally Cable's daughter.
Like adopted daughter.
Yeah, he took her to the future and like raised her. She was raised by a soldier to be a soldier, to fight a war across time.
And then Bishop kind of got character assassinated throughout that.
But let's not. Yeah. That's cool. Hope takes the role of Sinister from the last issue where he was kind of the narrator. She takes that role here. I enjoyed that a lot more. Hope is a more relatable character. She's also one of the primary drivers of the action in the issue. Mm-hmm. She's the central character. And so her narration is informing her decision making and giving us a peek into why she would do the things that she's doing here and taking these kinds of actions. Most people who have never read old X-Men books prior to House of X have no clue about this part of her character because most of the time she's just a member of the Five. She actually stepped out here and was the Hope that we all know.
And I also liked her having an active role again, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she was an integral character when I was, like, really getting into X-Men in current comics. And, like, her realizing that, you know, yeah, I'm part of the Five and I'm important, but because of that, I should be active is a good thing. I do like how we're cycling between Quiet Council members for POV. Because I read like an August solicitation for we're getting a Sebastian Shaw issue, which would be fun. But it's cool to be able to see these things. Like, I don't really know who Exodus is. We get a little bit of him here, you know. I'm cool with that as a storytelling, I guess, device.
Yeah. It makes sense. You get to see, because you also get to see how everybody sort of plays into the Quiet Council itself, where everybody's coming from, the angles. I think that helps to build interpersonal drama, and also helps to flesh out sort of where they sit in the hierarchy of Krakoa, because that to me is really interesting to see where each of these individual people, who they plug into, who comes to them, who addresses them, because then you start to see, you know, factions, assumingly.
Yeah.
I do have one issue though, and I have an issue, but this book kind of resolves the issue too. Kaiju and Krakoa, well, that keeps happening. Like, it's like at least 3 that I can remember. You know,
don't get me started.
It's an island, bro, just like Japan. You know, you gotta.
I guess so, but I did like the Summers Protocol, where I guess Scott's just written up plans for any kind of situation.
I love that.
Yeah, I thought it was my favorite like data sheet that we've gotten since Hickman, I think.
Actually, though,
because it was
like
stupid. like it was so in character, but it was also stupid.
no, dude. I work with people who work exactly like this. It's like, oh, you got a
you work
thing.
with
Go to
Scott?
this. Go to this. Go to this.
They had like the Angels addendum, like
So good.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
He's got time on his hands. Gene's busy. He's got time.
Got a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, bub.
I don't think too.
He's also busy being Captain Krakoa. Anyway, can we talk about Celine's gloves? Can we spend time on that, please?
Sean, I just want to mention real quick though, as you mentioned Captain Krakoa, I'm getting like real like Mr. America vibes from him. Like
You're
when
really going to
Hogan-
pivot off of me trying to talk about Celine's gloves?
They're just gloves.
No, shut up. They're not just gloves. They are the barely fit gloves that
Emma has.
Emma Frost has.
Yeah.
So Emma has them now. Celine has them. I feel like someone else had them too. This is just the thing on Krakoa. No one has
What are you
full
talking
gloves.
about? These
on
gloves.
Krakoa.
What?
I love
Like
it.
fingerless gloves like that we used to wear in high school?
No, they cut off like right here, halfway through the hand, like at the palm.
Yeah.
It's so funny, Sean. I read that. I'm like, Sean's gonna like that, and then you
Dude.
are bringing it up.
It's great. I love it.
You're into it? Like that's
Yes.
that's a thing?
Yeah.
Hey man, hey,
Dude, you
each their own.
You've been
It's fa-
tuned in
I
for
mean-
the gala.
Yeah,
didn't know
and
this
let's
was-
not
I mean,
even
the
start
cover is
Mr. Big
different.
Stepper, okay?
All right, okay, I knew that would come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
I'm not okay. All right, I'm not gonna say anything. Oh yeah, she does have those little gloves. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to tolerate Sinister in this book.
He's like on
You,
like
you,
the
you're
pages.
like anti-sinister,
Oh,
huh? You're not
I
feeling it.
actually love Sinister. I think Hickman wrote Sinister phenomenally. I just don't really like Gillen's Sinister.
I agree. I think here I liked him in the first issue of this. I think he was much more in character, but this felt odd. This felt a little weird to me. It didn't. Some of the dialogue felt pretty stilted and just extra goofy. Like he is an animated character. He is very loud and in your face. But here, I don't know. He seemed different. He seemed almost too sure of himself. Like too cocky, and I didn't appreciate it as much.
I mean, I don't know. Sinister is that, especially like because the Sinister of the modern era was defined by Gillen. And like over a decade ago. And that was whatever, that was fine. A lot of people really liked it. I wasn't as big of a fan. But Hickman took that concept and did it like in such a way where Sinister has all this bravado and all this like he's so charismatic, but his plans, there's wheels within wheels to his plans.
Yeah.
His mind is interesting. Whereas here, I'm not that interested in his brain. I'm not that interested in what he's thinking. I'm not interested in him like injecting himself openly with all kinds of drugs. Like, why would he show that?
He's muscle here.
Why would he reveal that he can do this now? It doesn't matter.
I think it was a show. It was a play. Because this Sinister is flamboyant and extra. So I think he wanted to show people like, yeah, I'm on the same team as you guys. Let's go. I'm a hero with you guys. Wink, wink. Now, I don't trust anything at face value with Sinister, and that's kind of why I enjoy him.
I can see that. Yeah.
Always ready for the swerve, especially like all of Krakoa is looking on right now. Of course, he'd want to be the hero in front of everyone.
But no one buys it. That's the issue.
The Quiet Council doesn't. I'm sure the everyman on Krakoa.
I don't know why you would think that. No, who would trust Sinister? No one would trust Sinister. And
Marco
Nightcrawler clearly doesn't give a damn about what Sinister just did. And then his line is, God above, people who think the best of people are just the easiest. That's Sinister talking. How stupid is he that he thinks that Nightcrawler believed anything he just saw.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That doesn't make any sense. Sinister is a genius. He would know that didn't work, that it wouldn't work.
We even saw it in the first issue, right? Like he reacted to somebody not going alongside with his plan, and he thought it through, and he got all neurotic about it. Yeah, that's a great call out.
And then Destiny says, I told you we have to be on the same side. And this dumbass looks at Professor X and says, oh, gosh, I have no idea what she's talking about. She never said that to me. Who's Professor X, a moron?
He's a mind reader.
Like, come, it's just, I don't know. I'm not.
I read that differently. Yeah. That bit, I read that differently. I read that as like Sinister was never actually told that, and she was relaying something she tells him in the future now.
But they had that conversation.
Did they?
Did they?
Well, I
don't remember. She told him we need to be on the same side. That's why in the last issue, I think it was, he was trying to anticipate her vote, and then that didn't work. So he was like, oh shit. And then he changes his vote.
That's right.
Because they already had this conversation.
I just have shit comprehension. Got it.
So it's like, I don't understand why Sinister is all of a sudden dumbed down. And maybe he's playing a long game, but right now he's being very transparent.
When do we get to the chimeras? Like, that's always in the background too when it comes to Sinister. Like, I'm like,
right.
Where's that? When's that shoe dropping?
Yeah, I don't know. I really wonder, because the way it's presented in Powers is like it's a very like later thing, not necessarily so far in the future that we would never get to it, but just that a lot of things have to happen in order for that to become a thing. And it doesn't feel like we're there yet, or even close.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the Warnick art?
Oh, I thought it was great. Yeah,
good stuff.
That's strong.
I thought it was much better than the Trial of Magneto stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little more kinetic. I mean, he's got more to work with here too, in terms of the action. It's not people talking around and talking heads debating whether or not they should actually have a trial for Magneto 3 issues in of a story called Trial of Magneto. But yeah, I think it's really clean. I like how it's colored. It's flat, but I wouldn't consider it like the most flat art too. Like I don't know, I'm digging it.
Yeah. I think his lines got a bit unruly sometimes, but that worked, especially when Sinister got really big.
Yeah, it gets a little dirty.
Like there, he just gets really loose, and the inks are a bit heavier. I did like that. I think some of the coloring I wasn't as big a fan of, especially in those moments. There's the moment where he's gripping the kaiju, and there's this like gold sun behind him. I don't know, the shine there looks a little off. And then the following page, the smoke just looks a bit odd. It looks like there's like these green undertones instead of these grays. But otherwise, I mean, the line works real good. The colors hit or miss depending on the page or panel. At least for me.
It wasn't perfect. I do wonder if he has a thing for kaiju though, because there was some of that in Trial of Magneto as well. So I'm wondering if like that's a thing that he likes and writers are working towards, what he's into. I think he's good. I hope that it improves, but if this were the quality of the series, I wouldn't be mad.
No, he's doing a good job.
Yeah. Easy pull, I think. This is my book of the week for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What else?
What do you mean, what else?
I mean, out of these books, I would probably agree. I read some more this week too, so like I'm a little hazy on what I read and stuff. But out of these 4, I think that's probably my pick of the week too. I'd pull it the same way Sean would want to pull those half gloves off.
Leave them on. What you mean?
Okay, all right.
Oh man. I'm not gonna get savage. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Instead, we'll talk about the Savage Avengers. So
we're not talking about the book. Where'd you read? All
right. First of all, this is called Streets of Rage, which if you are a gamer from the 90s, that name immediately evokes feelings in you.
The
I really love
song,
that
man.
touch.
The song?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, the Go Straight.
No,
The song was
I just know the song that's in Streets of Rage is like on one of my like Toonami playlists that I have that I listen to.
it's probably
Amazing.
Go Straight from Streets of Rage 2.
Like, yeah, I could probably.
That's
hear it.
like the definitive Streets of Rage song. So this was written by David Pepos, Carlos Magno on art, Espen Grudetjern on colors, and Travis Lanham did the letters. What'd you think of this, Tyler?
I thought it was a pretty serviceable first issue. I think it is a little more of a. Let me get my. It's like guy's cooking analogy. Here we go. It's like the prep work before you start cooking. You know what I mean? It's like you're getting all your stuff together. You're cutting up your vegetables and stuff. Everything's ready to be cooked. This is really setting up our Savage Avengers as a team and putting them on the board. I'm a big Magno fan. So once I saw... I forgot it was him on art. Once I saw it was him, like, as soon as I turned the page, I'm like, oh, shit, this is Magno. This is the guy that did Invaders and what was the more recent Kang the Conqueror series.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, shit, this is my jam.
You finished that one, right?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of my favorite things last year. Yeah, so I think maybe it took a little too long to get to the point. But at least left me in a place where I'm like, all right, now that we're in it, I'm ready to see where we go with it. And like I couldn't help but also feel the non-text part of it. You know, I don't know if we'll talk about it on Saturday's show or not, but it looks like Marvel does not have the rights to Conan anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
And this felt like, oh, we're leading a way to kind of write him off. Mm-hmm. It's like we're gonna have one last hurrah in of Marvel characters in Conan in the Arborian Age, and I think it's a pretty cool cast to throw in there. To be honest, I didn't know they would be going to the Conan world, so this is kind of like an inverse of what the previous volume of Savage Avengers was. So, yeah, I think they did a good job explaining who everyone was, what their current situation is. Especially Black Knight, his shit's confusing. Like, and Peppo's managed to explain that pretty quickly. Yeah, I had some fun with it. I had fun with it.
Yeah, same. I think it sets things up pretty well. I'm not super familiar with Conan as a character or many of these characters here, but I think that he does a good job. The only one that I've read is Black Knight, the recent Cy Spurrier book, and that was fine. I ended up dropping it, but and Cloak and Dagger are always cool. Like that stuff's really, really cool to see. I like their designs, their aesthetics, and so that was a fun inclusion. But beyond that, I mean, yeah, this was a solid start. I think to what's going to be a pretty fun series from what I can see. I don't know that I've read Avengers books in general, but this caught my eye.
Yeah, I mean, I like it's a good try. That's how I feel. It's a good try. I think that it felt like it felt like, you know, hey, this is my first comic, you know, not my first comic, but this is like my first at bat for the big two. So I'm going to be really safe and I'm going to do things that are super familiar and just take it easy. There's no attempt to really swing for the fences here. Deathlock is in a role that is extremely painfully common for him, where he is coming from the future or whatever, because somebody somehow, some way has, you know, besmirched time and Deathlock has to erase them. I feel like I've seen that a million times. I feel like that's the only time I ever see Deathlock is when that's the angle. So I kind of wish there was a little bit more ingenuity on that front. I also kind of wish that the book started with the mad bomb going off and these characters had to deal with it. It doesn't feel like there's any immediacy to what's happening. And that was my biggest issue. I think everything that David tries to do works, but of course it does, because I've seen it all already. You know, like nothing here is like a try at something other than what happens with every single one of these characters every single time we see them.
But I think that that's the right decision here for an issue 1. Like, get somebody in with something that is solid, something that's easily readable, something familiar enough that you can at least get grounded. And then now that we're in the Savage world, I imagine, okay, let's spin it out. Hopefully, right? Hopefully that's the direction, is let's definitely blow it out here, especially considering this might be the last hurrah for this character.
We talked on the show about decompressed storytelling, and this feels like a very good example of that. If this same exact concept and comic came out in, I don't know, 1980 something, which I get how that sounds, but I'm specifically referring to a conversation we had in the main topic on Saturday. The Mad Bomb would have gone off at the start of the book, and the heroes of the story would have had to drop whatever the hell they were doing to deal with that, or they would have just immediately been dealing with it. And then they would have been sucked into the new world, and all of that would have happened before the midway point of the issue 1. That's more exciting to me.
They would have all been patrolling outside this place, like, oh, what was that I heard? Like,
yeah, walked up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't see anything wrong with that. How is that worse than my man Weapon H? Just what was he doing? Just grabbing a coffee or whatever and getting robbed.
He was at a bodega, I think.
Okay, cool. That's not exciting. Black Knight's just grabbing a drink. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that could have done that would have been more exciting and would have made me more interested in a second issue.
I was happy to not see the trope of first page, it's a flash forward, and then it's like, how do we get there? Like, I was like,
yeah,
we didn't get one of those,
Yeah.
I do agree. Maybe it could have gotten to the point a little quicker. But I think one of the benefits it gets to kind of take its time is that it at least sits with some of the characters a little longer. Like, could you guys tell me who Weapon H was? Like, in his current state in the Marvel Universe? I couldn't. Like, I knew who he was, but, like, I didn't know what he was doing. So yeah, they give him a couple pages. They give Black Knight a couple pages. I am confused by the Deathlock thing, because, like, Deathlock's in Avengers currently and Avengers Forever, and they kind of play a pivotal role in that, and they're all good guys too, so it's like, all right, we just digress Deathlock as a character, but I guess you need time traveler villain or anti-hero character. It's like, all right, Deathlock can't do Kang, he's a little too important right now, so I guess it's just more of a plot device to go back to the Arborean age. But
yeah, it's the same thing that they do with Bishop or Cable.
Sure.
Whenever they need that character. I don't even think he's necessarily a villain. He's just the first antagonist who sets the table and kind of gets everything together. You already know there's going to be some very good reason why Deathlock has come for Conan, and they'll team up and solve the problem, and Conan will stay in that age, and they'll all leave. Like, that's the story. And I wish it wasn't so paint by numbers. But I do want to say, like, I don't think there's just anything bad here. I think it's all done well.
Yeah. I think it's like a easy give to someone. Like, hey, this first issue, have fun. You don't need to know who any of these characters are either. They do a good job with that. It is a wacky cast, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know anyone was going to pull out Weapon H. Or Anti-Venom. And goddamn, I love Flash Thompson. He's one of, like, my favorite characters.
Yeah.
So, like, this book could have been shit, and I'd still read every issue. Like, I'm a simp for Flash
Just
Thompson.
for him.
So. Oh, I love him so much.
I'm a Cloak and Dagger mark for sure. So
really, I don't think I've ever read Cloak and Dagger.
So I was introduced to them in the Maximum Carnage video game,
Oh,
and
the NES one.
well, I played the Genesis one, but they're the same game. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and I really was attracted to the fact that the cloak is black and dagger is white, and that they needed each other. That's kind of how their whole power set works.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super cool. I didn't watch the show because it was on Hulu, I think, and I would never do that to myself. But
Forgot there was a show. I'm like, show? Oh yeah.
yeah,
Wait, what's with the Hulu hate?
it's not Hulu
It was. I
hate.
thought it was like ABC Family, wasn't it? Like,
It that's way worse. But even if it was Hulu, it's not that it's Hulu. It's just that it's a Marvel show with teenagers on Hulu, which is going to be Pretty Little Liars or whatever with powers. And I don't need that in my life.
Hold on a second. You don't need Pretty Little Liars in your life?
oh, well, of course, Marco would be a Pretty Little
Listen,
Liars
dude,
mark here.
I'm not getting into that with you.
Okay.
Who was L? Is that the premise of that show? Or I don't know what I'm talking about. I think.
We're not getting into it, Tyler.
All right, was I right with that reference?
We're not getting into it, Tyler.
Okay, all right, got it.
Oh man. Yeah, I would say pull. The art's really good. For what it's going for.
We got a highlighted message here. I hear from one Matthew P.L. Murphy. I hear Cloak and Dagger season 1 slapped all caps.
I would only watch it if it clapped. If you catch my drift, you know what I mean, Matt?
Listen,
Like that should be the horny show, like Cloak and Dagger. Come on.
I hope that's true. And if it is true, maybe I'll watch it. If that's true.
I hear she wears half gloves.
Listen, man, if that were the case, well, no, it wouldn't matter because I think that I think on that show they're like teenagers or something. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything.
Runaways was good. I will say Runaways was good.
Oh, Runaways was good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. So if that's any indication of what Cloak and Dagger was like, then it's possible it was good. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Hey, did I prejudge it? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes. But if it's good, I'll admit I was wrong. That's cool by me. What I won't admit is bad. What I stand by is King Spawn. King
Let's
Spawn number
go,
10.
Sean.
Yes, absolutely.
Bro,
Sean
pick
Lewis.
of the week.
Marco, yes.
May I start, guys, with this one?
Well, hold on.
Okay. All right.
Sean Lewis with additional story by Todd McFarlane. Javi Fernandez on art and world design did the letters. Tyler, you may go.
Why?
What you mean, why?
Why was this a black, white, and red issue? Like,
Why not? That
was
phenomenal.
hot.
but like, why? What's the point?
What do you mean,
cares?
why?
Was there a story reason for it, or it's just like, we're just gonna
Yeah,
do
it's fucking cool, and I'm the artist, and I say I'm gonna do it in white, black, and red.
There is
It
a
was-
story reason why. Yes, absolutely.
What's this? Okay, enlighten me.
Okay, so Spawn is now sitting on the throne, right? So thematically, the world is going to hell. Everything is screwed. This is it. This is the end game. So the colors of Spawn, because of how powerful he is and how that's bleeding into everything, are literally all over the page.
Look at Reed Richards over here stretching.
Oh, that's what I got out of it. That's what I got out of it.
That's good, Sean. That's pretty good, actually.
Shit.
That's how I read it.
I thought it actually took away from the art. Like I like Javi Fernandez, but there are a couple of panels here where like it's so flat, where I think his art benefits from adding shape and form to it with color, that it loses its depth, and I got lost a couple parts.
Really?
Specifically the big, not big, but when there's like multiple groups of people together, I'm like, where does one part end and the other part begin? I thought it muddied the art a bit. This book is 90% interior monologue, and I hate that. I think it's such a it is against, like, it's like, instead of telling me, show me. And it's just telling me through this guy's you know, he's not even like enlightening me on his perspective of things. Sure, there's a little bit of that here, but he's almost like just telling me what's happening in the story. I'm like, just show me what's happening. You don't need to tell me. Yeah, it just seems pedestrian, if that is fair. Like,
Wow.
I got nothing out of this King Spawn thing.
I mean, I think so. I think what they did here is it is interior monologues, but I think they used it really effectively because a lot of the time they used it to continue the lettering and keep your eye moving. There's a really good page. What is this? This is page 12. This guy's about to jump on his back on Terry's back. It was like Terry had momentarily forgotten about the second brother. That's at the top. Then you come in and the next caption box is right in between two panels where you see the action. You don't get explained the action necessarily. It's like, and Terry's skills aren't close to being able to defeat two demons at once. Fine, right? But you see the moments are happening in between. And it's not necessarily fight scenes. It's not like, oh, then he threw his hand or, he kicked him in whatever, like we would in a Todd McFarlane led joint. This is a bit more about the battle, but not dictating what's going on the page already. It's like what balances the scales and unseen essence of Spawn himself. It's just like additional drama, and it carries you along the page. I thought that worked pretty well.
More like drama mean for me. Jeez.
Listen, no one can convince me that this is not one of the greatest panels of the year.
Yo, that was hot fire, dude.
I'm holding it up. It's
okay.
Spawn sitting on the throne with what appears to be his cape just expressed all over the panel. Those reds are phenomenal.
I will say.
And Spawn has no color in him. So all the color from his costume, which you would normally associate with him, is gone. And the only color is in the red. It's so beautiful.
Todd said, I don't see color in this. I will say it did look better when he showed me it physically.
Listen, you should be reading physical. That's a you problem.
I'm a little fucking busy right now, Sean.
Like that would have changed anything. I don't see you dropping money on King Spawn.
Yeah.
Sean, can you show the next page right after that one?
This one?
Yeah. There's two panels. That first panel on the left here, if you're looking, I love that things are just bursting out, and because it is in that the black and white, it looks like this just homogeneous gunk, but you start to be able to parse things out. I started thinking about this.
Gunk.
I started thinking about this. I'm like, yo, how would this look like if it was shaped into marble? That would be fucking crazy. And then even the next page on that same thing where we just see, we don't see the cape anymore. It's just this background of red, and he's emerging from the places where the cape aren't covering him. You see like parts of his shoulders are gone, parts of like the neck aren't necessarily there. There's this red wash over half of his body. Hot, dude.
Yep. Dude, I think this book is really good. It's come into its own. I mean, I've enjoyed King Spawn pretty much since the start. And I think it gets better and better. I never thought that I would feel this good about a Spawn book. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not going to say it's not my book of the week, right? I'm not going to say that this is like the greatest shit I've ever read, but Spawn as a character is not one that I ever read in comics before. So for the last year of reading Spawn books, I have to say, like, more good than bad. More good than bad.
On average, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I think.
Go for it.
No, I was gonna say, like, I think that for me, I have more fun with Spawn when it recognizes what it is and has fun with it. And when it's not super heady and serious like this. Like, I think I preferred the Scorched more because, like, it was stupid and it knew it was stupid. And I think that's just my flavor of Spawn that I prefer. Or like when Gunslinger was fucking the clown, you know. Give me more of that.
We've gotten enough flack with the Spawn reviews that I'm probably just not going to do them anymore. Which is unfortunate because I really, really enjoy it. But it is what it is. If people don't want it, we won't do it.
Well, if we're doing this on Thursday now, so if you happen to read on Wednesday and you're like, hey, you know what? Actually, this was a banger. I'm down, dude.
I mean, if it were up to me, like they're all bangers for the most part.
Well, let's
Specifically Kingspawn, or are you talking Spawn wide?
King Spawn.
Okay.
Kingspawn's been hot.
So, I say pull.
Absolutely pull for the art alone. I think.
I'd say pull too. I'm joking. No, I wouldn't pull. No.
Said,
not for
don't
me.
yank
It's
at it.
Yeah, it's just not my bag.
For sure.
Well, Tyler made me go in his bag and pull out the Shaolin Cowboy.
It's not my
this
bag.
week.
I never read it.
Oh, well, I think you'll like it. So I was tagged this week for Comics Tag to read the Shaolin Cowboy. This is by Geoff Darrow, who did the story, art, and cover. So multi-talented, with Dave Stewart on colors, which is pretty cool. And if you know Dave Stewart, you can tell that this was colored by Dave Stewart. There's no doubt who colored this, which I say as a compliment.
Yeah.
Nate Picos did the letters, and several people did the color flats. Mark Sweeney, Ronak Singh, Fred Pakulba, and Josh Laird. So what did I think of this book? First of all, it looks really good. It looks very, very, very good, I have to say. It takes place pretty much exclusively in a desert, and they nail that part. It's perfectly colored. Dave Stewart is a brilliant colorist, and I think when you are going to put your book in a desert, Dave Stewart's a great choice for that, especially when you have an old dude. Like, for some reason, I associate Dave Stewart's colors with old dudes. I don't even know why that is. Old dudes with wrinkly faces. Yeah, he just does that so well. I'm gonna see if I can, like, look at this. I'm holding it up now. It's literally just a panel of the main character. There's an old dude with a wrinkly face. To me, that screams Dave Stewart.
That's
Prime
so specific.
Stewart.
I know. And so, yeah, I've never seen Darrow's art before, but it's all great. This is a very good looking book. It's gritty. It's tough, but it's pretty also in a way. So I appreciated it for that. And the story is mildly interesting. There's like anything can talk here. So like there's, lizards that just talk, and the Shaolin Cowboy is just this dude who's just doing his Buddhist walk across the desert, and he encounters a lizard, and he saves it from its father who wants to eat it. And then it just goes off the rails into some crazy stuff that I'm not even going to describe. I will not read the next issue because this is too crazy for me. The narration is insane. The lizard is referencing Stan Lee, the MCU, no prizes. It's just wild. It's absolutely off the rails. And I can't deal with that. That's just not my thing. But I think, Tyler, that you would probably enjoy this. It does not take itself seriously at all.
Yeah. For me, any Geoff Darrow book is a pull just because of the art alone. Like, it just, you can tell when something's Geoff Darrow.
His name is so familiar.
Are you thinking of Jeff Shaw, maybe?
No. Darrow specifically, yeah.
He's always at New York Comic Con.
Yeah. Maybe.
So you've definitely passed by. I think I've seen him sit next to like Savage Dragon guy.
Eric Larson.
Yes. Yeah. I really like Darrow's art. Does some variant covers every so often. I'll probably check this out. Once you described a lizard talking about no prizes, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give that a go.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. It really is from top to bottom. Like, this is a wild book. I don't know how long it's going to be, but whoever decides to buy this, you're in for a ride. It's not for me, but if you like stories that, like, if you're a Deadpool fan or you like things that just don't take themselves seriously but have really great art, you'll probably enjoy this. So,
Nice.
There's
all
multiple
right.
different minis too for Shaolin Cowboy, so you can pick up a
Okay.
Shaolin Cowboy story anytime. They're just like whatchamacallit, little Western stories. Jeff Darrow did do Deadpool. The
Oh,
Oh,
He did the
wow.
covers during the Brian Posehn, Jerry Duggan stuff. So it was like that one where like
huh.
Deadpool's shooting that dinosaur and he's bullets everywhere. Like, so yeah, that's an apt comparison because he's done Deadpool.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
There you go.
cool.
All right. So now I have the power to tag someone. I am going to tag you right back, Tyler.
Damn, tag me, bro. I haven't gotten it in like 5
What are you
weeks.
talking about? You literally got tagged and didn't show up last week.
Oh, well, that's not my fault.
So what the fuck does that have to do with me? I'm tagging you with another one of my favorites that I don't know if you've read yet. Lazarus.
Oh,
Damn it, I just packed my copies away.
have you read it?
When it first came out, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you've read it, then that's fine.
Have you read it, Marco?
I've not.
So
Give it
so
to me.
you'll I'll
Oh, I
tag you
do
then,
want
Marco.
to see Marco's on this. Yeah. Also, I
read
didn't want to
Lazarus.
unpack. So
It's a Greg Rucka book.
Yeah. I know.
Uh,
I've always wanted to. You've given me the reason now.
Awesome. So I would say read at least the first 2 issues, but if you're inclined to read more, obviously feel free.
Okay.
it's one of those books where like you get 2 issues in, you're probably going to accidentally read the 3rd and then the 4th and the
Yeah.
5th.
Yeah,
It's good looking, man. Oh.
it's one of my favorite books ever. Let me quickly find out the
How
artist.
is that not made into something? Like, why don't we have like a Lazarus TV show? I feel like that's prime. Like, especially
Michael
like
Lark.
oh yeah, Michael Lark. They did GCPD together, the Gotham
Yeah.
City stuff. That's good stuff too.
I've never read that.
Oh, okay. I'll keep that in my pocket. That's literally the same. It's Brubaker too, and
Marco, I didn't tag you initially for this, but I suspect my bet is that you are going to love this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I have gotten it in at least one of the humble bundles that I've gotten over the years, so I'm trying to find
yeah.
it right now. It has to be.
I don't think I've heard bad things about this. The only complaints I've had about this were delays and like it's just no knock on the actual book.
I can't read it anymore. They changed the format, so now it doesn't come out monthly. It comes out whenever in like a 60 pager or whatever. And the story kind of veered so far off, and like I can't do it. But Lazarus will always have a special place in my heart.
Cool.
Let's do Pals Pulls.
All right. So for next week, I'm ready to get back into the Department of Truth. Where finally, again, we had a couple of little side stories that kind of fleshed out the background previously. This is by Tinian, and Martin Simmons is actually coming back on this one. I think it was Aditya Bidikar as well on this.
Nice.
We're going to be learning more about the Russian Department of Truth. That is the antagonist to our U.S. Department of Truth. I think it's like the something of lies, something like that. But this book's friggin' weird. It teaches me new cryptids and alien encounter stories that I can then look up, and then I'm down a rabbit hole. Like some smiling man thing that was like a real story. There was a Mothman one a couple issues back. I have a lot of fun with Department of Truth, so always happy to see that. And a book I haven't talked about on the show yet, Task Force Z, by Matt Rosenberg. New artist on this one, Herbert. I didn't look that up. I thought it was Eddie Barrows again. But this is a fun one. It's Jason Todd leading a team of DC villains who have all died recently, but have been brought back with some Lazarus juice, moist Lazarus juice, but not fully. So like that's how it's like the Suicide Squad thing. We're not going to bring you back fully because you need this to stay alive. But it's fun. It's fun. It's people get beheaded constantly in it, and it's Jason Todd and some really good characters that I don't want to say because there's some twists and turns in it. But I think it's really fun. And Sean, little book.
Yeah. So I had Devil's Reign Omega. Devil's Reign was phenomenal. We praised it highly. It was one of my favorite events in recent memory. It's not quite over yet. We do have the Omega issue. This one is actually written by Rodney Barnes and Jim Zub alongside Chip Zdarsky. So I'm getting the impression that this will kind of dovetail into what they're doing next. We know that Zub is doing the Thunderbolts book.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm assuming that some of this will dive into that. I don't know what Rodney Barnes' next project is, but I'm assuming that's what's going on here. But, all capable. And then on the art side, we have Luciano Vecchio, who's tremendously talented, yep. Rafael Della Torre, and Guillermo Sana. So you can't miss with any of those creators. I'm really excited to see how this all sort of closes and wraps up. And we can get into the next phase of, city hero and villain stories.
I thought you just picked it because of the cover.
No, I mean, the cover's phenomenal, but no, not quite.
I'm expecting like a new status quo for street level heroes in this, and we'll see where we go from there. So
yeah. Yep.
Marco, you put Legion of X, Legion of 10, Legion of something,
Legion of 10 and/or X. I'm gonna go with X, and Cy Spurrier's writing this. This is, he's my boy. I like whenever he puts something out. This is going to be sort of that spiritual continuation of the Way of X, presumably. And so, want to kind of continue that story. I did enjoy it, and I like him as a writer. So I'm gonna try at least this number one, see what he has to say, what he's going to be doing here, how much it is a continuation of that other story, and if Nightcrawler's in it. Nightcrawler's also a really great character, and I like following him. The art is by Jan Bazaldua, and yeah, it looks good. I'm gonna pick this up, and I don't know if we're reviewing this. I think Sean,
maybe, most likely, it's a new X-Men number one. So how could we not, right?
And you'll find out first on our Patreon.
I lost audio.
There you go, Tyler. As Tyler mentioned, you will find out first on patreon.com/thecomicspals what we'll be reviewing next. For next week's Pals Pulls. And if you want to make recommendations, feel free. Patreon members, please share those recommendations with us.
Yeah, we're not against throwing a fifth one in there every so often. So
yeah, if you've got an idea for something we should be talking about that we're very, very open to it. And then if it's bad, then we'll just call you out.
I guess I'll speak for Marco on this one. I mean, if there's anything I can speak for Marco for, it's Marco picking a Swamp Thing book.
Something new, right?
Oh, there you go. Here we go. Yeah, so Marco, nice. Talk about the Swamp Thing some more. Doing this Ty Dillinger kind of move here.
Yeah,
about to drop the Diamond Cutter.
Little known indie book by little known indie writer Ram V, by artists. I don't know if you guys will recognize the name Mike Perkins, and colorist Mike Spicer, and it's a continuation of the Swamp Thing story, and man, I'm having fun with this book. I don't think I was as hot as on last issue as you guys were, but this has been a book to follow, and I think Ram's doing a lot of good work here, as is Perkins. I think the art's been phenomenal, and that alone is a reason to pick it up, if not for Ram.
Yeah, but those are our polls.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. If you are listening and not on Twitch, you can come hang out with us and watch live at twitch.tv/thecomicspals every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We always love when you guys come hang out with us and share your thoughts live, even if you want to tell me I'm reaching, like Matt did. That's okay. Main show Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We'll have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about on the main show this week.
Big week.
Yeah, rest assured.
We don't need to talk about feet this week.
Well, I mean, listen, you never know.
That's true. I got it. It's ready.
YouTube.com/The Comics Pals. Subscribe for free, like the video, share it with your friends. All that stuff's free to do, and it helps out a lot more than it costs you. We don't know what our next book club is yet because it is in the hands of the listeners. It is in the hands of the patrons more specifically. We have put up 5 options. We will find out what you guys want us to talk about, and that will be the next book club. That will be the book club for June.
Sean, should we announce the options? Maybe that'll entice people to go to the Patreon, you know?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
If I remembered, you think I'd prepare.
The Boys, Volume 1 and 2.
Yes.
Flintstones, Uncanny Avengers, the whole deal. Swamp Thing, books 3 and 4.
Who
and
picked that
Kaiju
one?
Max Season 1. Sorry, Tyler?
Who picked the Swamp Thing one?
Kale.
I actually like how you can see very obviously who picked what on that list.
For sure. Yeah. It's very transparent. Which, you know, we all lean into our tastes, and I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you. Until next time, we're the Comics Pals signing off. Take care, guys.
See you next week.
There we go. All right. That helps me edit. Thanks.